Well, everybody, in this video, I'm going to do a real brief talk about your research paper for this course, which is kind of a research paper, but it's more of a court observation paper. We'll call it court observation paper because that's the main thing you're going to be doing. You're going to go to court and observe for at least 2 hours or 2 different court sessions. If you go to a city court, that's less than an hour, so you go to 2 different times. It's like 10 or 15 minutes. Some city courts are rather quick. But if you're in a district court or a county court or another court that goes longer, a city court in Houston, which will go more than the 2 hours, then you only have to go once. JP courts usually they're a little bit brief too, so you may have to do 2 sessions. So if you do 2 sessions, even if they're less than the 2 hours, you're good to go. There's going to be more to this than just going to court and writing about what you see. There's going to be research. You're going to research the court you're going to and several other things. So let me get out of the way and we'll look at the court or research paper tab in Blackboard. And here you'll see just a little brief thing. I've got 2 different Word documents for you. One's the sample court observation paper, and the other one's the template for that you'll need to use in order to write your paper. Use this template. It's in an APA format. Your paper has to be APA format. If you use this template, and if you make sure you get your reference page correct, then you'll get full credit for the APA, and that's worth 10 points on your paper. So please do that. I have many people who decide to just write it on their own, and it doesn't work out too well. Very few of them get the paper in the right format without using the template. So use the template. It's required. Okay, we got that. It is required. And there will be, after this video, there is a research paper quiz that you will need to take, and you'll need to make 100 on it to show that you understand what the requirements for the paper are. And you won't be able to go to your chapter 2 in this course until you have made at least 100% on that. So that's going to be part of week 2. You need to get this done before week 2 of this course. Again, the paper is going to be about going to court. There are several different courts that you have access to. You can look at the different courts in Harris County. I've got a little PDF file here from them that list all their courts. That may take a minute to open, but it should open. Maybe it won't. So it is a larger PDF file. They've got a bunch of courts, and I was thinking about opening. And you can call the court. You can call maybe the district attorney's office, somewhere around there, to find a good case going on. Hey, they finally showed up. As you can see, there's a lot of them in Harris County. If you want to go to Hardin County, they're right at the beginning of the page. This lists the phone number for each court, for the court clerk, court coordinator, lists the judge, and the court reporter. So again, you can contact one of them to see what's going on in there's particular court. There's all kinds of district courts in Harris County, and there's a bunch of them there. Move into JP courts. There aren't as many JP courts. There's actually 16 of those in Harris County. I've got a list of courts, the municipal courts by city. So you can call the city court if you'd like. I've got Galveston County courts. They're all listed right here. There are not as many. There are several district courts and several county courts. Again, you've got information on where you can call them to find out what's going on in their particular court. And then we've got the same thing for Brazoria County, so you can look at their different courts. Theirs isn't opening up as quickly. Oh, and for some reason that link's bad, so I'll have to update that link. And apparently their site's down, one of the two. And then finally, I've got in here the Houston Municipal Courts. This is of particular interest to people who work during the day, because they have night court there. Some of the other cities do, and they've actually got their dockets that you can look. Some down here, somewhere there's the court locations, and here's the trial docket by a different day of the week. This is the week before Christmas, so probably nothing. Let me look on Thursday if something will show up. I know they won't be in court on probably Monday or Tuesday. And they've got court at different locations. Lubbock is downtown Houston. They've got courts, and they list the type cases they've got going on. You're going to see multiple cases in there. If it's a jury trial, most of them are pled out, so they don't actually have trials, but it tells you if it's a non-jury trial, then it's a bench trial. Makawa is the location that is in southeast Houston, a little bit closer to where we're at, and you'll see their court times will start as early as this one's at 2 p.m. They'll have some in the morning. They'll have some at night. So you have to kind of look. That's an 8 a.m. court, 9 a.m. So again, with Houston, you can definitely go to back-to-back sessions and get your full time in at one time. And of course, I'm not seeing any night courts. One's 4 p.m. there, 6 p.m. We've got 7 p.m. courts and so forth. So there's available courts for you to go to. If you can't go during the day, you can always go at night. A lot of the other smaller towns also have municipal court. So now let's go ahead and look at what you're going to want, what needs to be in this report. And I've got the sample observation paper, which is kind of just a show of what you need to be in here. The template's going to be similar to this. You'll click on things and fill things in. Your title of your paper is going to be 306th District Court Observation, or whatever you want to title it. You'll have to put your name here. My name goes next, Alvin Community College, and then put the due date, whatever the due date is for your particular paper. Then the paper actually starts on page 2. The page 1 is again just the title page. Right here in bold type is going to be the name of your paper again. The same name you used on that first one will go on the second page, right at the top, and then you're going to write an introduction. And again, you're going to be using the APA format, so you've got to use the half-inch margins and so forth. If you're using the template, it's already set up. Just be sure to start typing. You do not need an abstract. Some people write abstracts for some little more detailed papers. They do use abstracts. Your papers should have an introduction, a strong introduction that provides you the opportunity to capture the reader's attention and kind of hook them in. This introduction shouldn't be talking about what happened in the court. It should be something about, a little bit general, like our American court system is based upon an adversarial system, and courts, we find they're not exactly what we see on TV or something like that. And then you say, in this paper, I'm going to talk to you about when I visited the 306th District Court in Galveston County and what I observed during the trial of, Tom Jones or whatever. Something like that. And then that's got your thesis sentence, and that will set up the thing, set up your paper. Next, we're going to talk about the court. Again, you're going to have a right here that's going to say the court. You can put the court number if you want. This is the section we're going to talk about the court itself. What is the jurisdiction of the court? Do they hear civil cases and criminal cases? Do they just hear criminal cases? Again, you need to go to a criminal case, not a civil case. So try to make sure you make it to a criminal case, not a civil case. So you're going to describe the court. What's their geographic jurisdiction? If it's a city court, it's going to be within that city. If it's a JP court, it's going to be in a precinct within the county. If it is a county or district court, it will probably be county-wide. Unless you go to one of the district courts in Brazoria County, it's a multi-county jurisdiction. They actually have, I believe it's 3 different counties where the judge can hear cases. So that one would be a unique one. I don't remember which number it is, but it's kind of look at your court. Then you're going to have to do some research. Call the clerk's office, the district clerk's office if you're in a county court. A district court, and if you're in a county court, the county clerk's office, and try to find some statistics for your court from the previous year. How many cases did they dispose of? How many did they actually go to trial? Of those trials, how many were bench trials and jury trials? How many convictions? How many acquittals? If possible, break down the bench acquittals and jury acquittals. You may not be able to get this information, but try to. Other places to get it on the web page. Even the state web page will give you some information on the district, on the courts, at least for maybe the entire county, if not each individual. So you get some statistics there. But try the district clerk's office. If they're not able to help you, call the judge's administrative assistant and try to get information from them. This is something you need to do early because you're not going to get the information rather quickly. A physical description of the court and the courtroom is not needed, but if you want to include it, you can include it here, just so long as you capture the previous information that's up there. So you want to make sure you talk about the jurisdiction of the court and describing the court and, the things that the court has done before you describe the physical makeup. Physical makeup can be interesting, especially if you've never been to court before. And, that's something that you may want to put in there, but it's not required. You do need to make sure you use the paragraph headings. The next paragraph we're going to go to, the next paragraph heading is going to be on the judge. Who is the judge? If you're in a municipal court, you're going to have to find out who the judge is on this particular case because they may have multiple judges. Even if you're in a district or county court, you may have a visiting judge presiding the day you're there. So how do you find out? How did they obtain their job? They're a visiting judge. They were at one time most likely elected. You probably get some information about them. Some of the best places to look for information on the judges is through their campaign pages if they're elected. If not, you may have to call the court and do a personal interview. We'll talk about personal interviews when we get to the reference page, because it's important that even if it's a personal interview, you need to make sure you reference this information within your report. You can look at, do a general web search for the person and put Judge Tom Jones. And again, their election page usually is going to have something to tell you about them. It's going to tell you how long they've been an attorney, if they are an attorney. Some judges don't have to be an attorney. That's something important you'd want to put in there. That could be the city judges or JPs do not have to be attorneys. So kind of look for that information. They'll tell you what law school they went to, how many years they were on the bench, where they practices, all this. Get all this information you can. Another great place to get this information, besides asking the court clerk and all, is if you can get an interview with the judge himself, you can get this information. I would say close to 20 to 30%, or maybe even more, of my students get an interview with the judge when they go to court. Judges are elected. They like to talk to people who can vote and keep them in office. So that's a good place to go. The next section of the paper is going to be the courtroom work group. Everybody else but the judge. Tell me about them. Tell me about the attorneys. Try to identify the prosecutor and any defense attorneys if you can. Who else is in the courtroom? Is there a court clerk? Is there a court reporter? Are there bailiffs? Are there deputy sheriffs? Are there probation officers? And what are they doing? What are they doing when you're observing them? What is their job? Are they telling everybody to rise when the judge come in? Who does that? Or are they guarding the prisoners? Or are they interacting with the judge? Are they talking to witnesses and so forth? And then the big part, this is the most important part. This is one of the things that I have a lot of students don't spend as much time on as they should. It's your observations of what went on. This is the meat and potatoes of your entire report. In this section, you'll document in detail what you observed. Again, what type case or cases that you heard. If you're in a municipal court, you're going to probably hear many cases. Kind of keep track of them. How many of them were running red lights? How many of them were speeding? How many of them were, drug paraphernalia cases? Whatever. And what their disposition was on each one of those cases. City court, you're going to have dispositions because the judge is going to either find them or find them not guilty right there. It usually doesn't occur over a long period of time. If you're at county district court, you may not have that information. You may have to do some research to find that information out. Maybe you have to call the prosecutor on the case later on. Who were the witnesses and what did they testify about? Was there a jury? If so, did the members of the jury appear to be attentive in the court? Was there any physical evidence? Again, you're going to go into details about what you heard. Did you hear several quick cases or parts of one long case? Again, what were the charges? Name the defendant and the witnesses that you observed, and what questions were the witness to ask, and how did they testify? So your majority of your report should be within this section. It should be several paragraphs long, not one short paragraph. Make sure you do a good job in this section. It's going to be again, the biggest part of your paper. The next section is going to be on your expectations. Was this what you expected it to be? Was it different than you expected it to be? Was this your first time in court? Did the case move along as fast as you expected? Was a courtroom work group participants similar to how you expected them? Just a little bit of things like that. And then finally, your final section is going to be the conclusion. And the conclusion is, the introduction, you talked about what you were going to talk about. In the conclusion, you talked about what you did. You don't want to introduce new stuff here. You just kind of go over, some of the main points, kind of wrap things up in this section. Now, the big thing that you've got is going to be your reference page. I'm going to show you in a minute how we can set reference page up. This is the area that gets people with the APA formatting because it's kind of weird. The sentence or the lines there are, the first line is at the margin. The next lines are indented, kind of different than we're normal. So I'm going to show you how to do this in Word. It will set it up for you and get it done for you right in just a second. I'm going to move over there in a second. Just a couple other things here. Make sure you document your references. Anytime you have a quote from somebody or get their idea, like you've got statistics on the judge, you need an inline citation. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. And then again, make sure your reference page is formatted right. We've got a couple little videos that you can watch, or some help that you can watch that come from YouTube. Again, you can watch this video. So let me go over to this other page real quick, and I'm going to just show you how to insert a reference section. And we're going to go, I've already got a page, get you a page up, title it reference page, and just kind of leave it blank because we're going to let Word throw it in there correctly. What we're going to do now is we're going to click on Manage Sources. So click on that. And where you're going to be getting your information, let me go ahead and move these out. Whoops. Okay, I guess it didn't like that. I guess I can delete it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is in this Manage section, I'm going to add some. So I want to add my references. I'm going to click on New. And then one of the things you're probably going to do is you're going to do an interview. And who did you interview? So who is the interviewee? So you're going to click on, we're going to interview Judge Roy Bean. And you'll add him to the list. You can add more than one interviewee, but again, that's probably not going to be the case in this, but you will, maybe if you had a panel, you would have more than one. You click OK. His title is Judge, whatever his title is. You put your name as the interviewer, or if one of your fellow students did the interview and you got the information from them, you would put their name. And again, we want to do that through this edit mode, so we put it in the right format. And then you're going to put the date, the year, the month, and the day. And click OK. So now that has been added to my list. And let me, oh, that source has been cited in there. That's why it won't let me release it. I'm going to show you how to do some citing in a minute. So now we're going to add a web page. So the next thing you're going to do is go to Add New. You're going to click on here, and you would put a website. If you can find an author, you would put that there. Probably not, so it'd be the state of Texas, if you got it from the state of Texas website. Name of the page, courts. If they have a site, district courts. So if I could type right, this would be easier. The date on the web page, if you can find it, and then the URL. www.stateoftexas.gov, something like that. And again, if you have a date, a year, maybe you may have a year on there if they got year of information, something like that, or you may actually have an actual date, and then you would click that. Now those are in there. If that's your only sources, you can add other types if you want. Article in a periodical, if you use that, section of your book or the book itself, anything like that. Once you've got this all done, we can close this out, and we're going to add this reference page. So all we do is click on the bibliography, and we come down here and click on Insert Bibliography, and it puts it in the correct format. So you don't have to worry about things being done just right. Now, if we come back up here, we're going to show you real quick how to insert a citation. So say this paragraph came from our interview with Judge Roy Bean. So we're going to simply put Insert Citation, and it's going to list all those references that we have in our list. You just click on it, and it's there. So we got information from here also. We're going to insert it right here, and you're good to go. Anywhere that you've got, so anytime you're writing your paper, you add the sources towards the beginning, and when you come to something where you need to insert a citation, you can just do it as you're going. Well, guy, that's about it. You need to make sure you get the papers done in a timely manner using Word, using the template. If you're not sure how to download the template, it varies by browser, but generally speaking, if you'll right-click on it, and it's going to say Save Target or Save Link or something like that, save it somewhere on your computer where you can find it. Then you'll have both the template that you need to use, and you will have this little sample that's up there so you can kind of read on that. The due dates are posted in Blackboard, so look for those on the both your course syllabus page. The Start Here page will have the course calendar, or on the reference or the research paper tab, we'll have those dates there. So be sure to get them in. Again, there is a quiz right below you, or right below this video, that you'll need to take and make 100% on before you can move on to chapter 2 in the book, and you won't be able to see the video or take the quiz on too until you've done that. You can retake it as many times as you need to in order to get that 100%. It's just talking about what you have to do, and it talks about not plagiarizing, not turning in somebody else's work, and the ramifications thereof. Now let me tell you what the ramifications of putting in paper that was written by somebody else, or not, or copy and pasting from a website. Court observation paper, I usually don't have that issue because you're actually going to court. But for other papers, I've had people, recently had a student who was cut and pasting from a paid website where they sell research papers. Pretty evident when it was directly quote from from the class from the class videos and the class text, such and such, and it was a direct quote. I'm saying, oh, that's got to be a site that's selling the research papers. If you do that, you're going to fail the course. You're either going to drop the course or you're going to fail it. That's the only two options. This research paper is required to pass the course. You also have to present it either by video or in class. So if you don't do your research paper and you don't present the paper, the paper's worth 10% of your grade, but if you don't do it, it's worth 100% of your grade because you cannot pass the course without it. So just kind of keep that in mind. You need to make sure you get the paper done and done on time and following the proper format. The quiz is not that difficult. If you don't get it right the first time, well, do it again. You'll get it right the second time. Well, that's about it for this video. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, and I will be glad to answer your questions to the best of my ability.